So, have you heard of the 5 a.m. Club? It's way more than just a book, you know? It's become this global productivity movement, a whole phenomenon that promises to unlock your inner greatness if you're willing to set your alarm for the crack of dawn. But here's the real question. Is it a revolutionary life hack, or is it just a toxic fantasy?
Own your morning, elevate your life. That right there is the powerful promise at the very heart of Robin Sharma's book. It's a pretty simple idea, but it's also profound. That the very first hour of your day, before the world starts screaming for your attention, that hour holds the secret to transforming everything else.
So, what is the big promise, really? What is it about this idea that has millions of people all over the world totally captivated? Let's dig into the core aspiration of the 5 a.m. Club. Okay, so the core concept is something called the victory hour. The book claims that at 5 a.m., your brain's tendency to worry is naturally quiet, which gets you into this amazing state of focus and flow. And, there's actually some science to this. For people who are natural early risers, they're called larks, that early morning quiet means fewer distractions and a brain that's totally primed for creative thinking. It's like finding a little pocket of peace before the chaos of the day kicks in. And make no mistake, this philosophy is intense. It's built on a foundation of just relentless discipline and grit. It's a message that really, really resonates with high achievers and, frankly, anyone who believes that pushing through discomfort is the only real path to victory. But it's not just about dragging yourself out of bed at 5 a.m. It's about what you do with that first hour. So, what's the actual method behind the magic? Well, it's called the 20-20-20 formula. This victory hour is broken down into 3 20-minute chunks. First, you move. 20 minutes of intense exercise to get your blood pumping and your brain firing on all cylinders. Then, for the next 20 minutes, you reflect. This is your time for quiet, for journaling, or meditation, to really find your focus. And the final 20 minutes are all about growth, reading, studying, listening to a podcast, anything that expands your mind. Okay, now here's where things get a little bit weird. These really powerful lessons aren't delivered in some straightforward guide. Nope. Instead, they're all wrapped up in this fictional story that a lot of critics found, well, let's just say it's unusual. So the whole thing unfolds through this story about a female entrepreneur who's really struggling. I mean, she's on the verge of giving up on her business, her life, everything. She's at a self-help seminar. And she and another guy there get approached by this mysterious, kind of disheveled man who calls himself the Spellbinder. And get this, he's not just some random guy. He quickly reveals that he's actually an eccentric, mega-wealthy tycoon who just, dresses humbly to stay humble, as you do. And then he offers to teach them his secrets by flying them around the world on his private jet. First stop, his private island in Mauritius. Yeah, it's a pretty wild ride. As you can probably imagine, this whole narrative style did not land well with everyone. One review from the Gateway called the story, and I quote, pointless, infuriating, and unrealistic, arguing that all the useful advice could have just been delivered in a short pamphlet instead of this whole novel. But the criticism doesn't just stop with the bizarre story. The core philosophy itself has faced some pretty serious backlash for being out of touch with reality. Some have even called it a fantasy for the privileged. And this gets to the central question that a lot of critics are asking. Is this really a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone? Or is it a routine designed for a very specific type of person, with a very specific and, frankly, very lucky type of life? And here is the absolute core of that disconnect. The 5 a.m. Club promises this serene, quiet hour for meditation and planning your empire. But for so many people, the 5 a.m. reality is crying babies, packing school lunches, and a long commute to work. Suddenly, that victory hour feels a lot less like a choice and a whole lot more like a privilege. I mean, the routine is often described as laughably out of touch for huge groups of people. For mothers and caregivers, for shift workers, for neurodivergent individuals whose brains don't just switch on at 5 a.m., or for anyone dealing with chronic pain or just trying to make ends meet, this kind of rigid schedule can seem completely impossible. And this leads to a really powerful critique. Maybe the problem isn't our individual discipline. Maybe the problem is a culture that relentlessly, constantly ties our productivity to our self-worth. A culture that turns even rest into just another thing we have to perform and perfect. So, where does that leave us? This brings us to the real takeaway. How can we reclaim the idea of a powerful morning routine without falling into that trap of toxic, one-size-fits-all productivity?
Well, it's really important to remember that the 5 a.m. Club is not the only game in town. There's another super popular framework called the Miracle Morning, which uses the acronym SAVERS for its core habits: silence, affirmations, visualization, and so on. It has the same spirit, but it offers a different structure, which just proves there are many paths to the same goal. And that right there is the heart of it. The key isn't the exact time you wake up or the specific formula you follow. It's about committing to a daily practice that you actually personalize for yourself. Maybe your victory hour is at 7 a.m. Maybe it's only 30 minutes. The real goal is to create a routine that serves you, not one that drains you.
Ultimately, the whole 5 a.m. club phenomenon forces us to ask a much bigger question. In our constant quest for self-optimization, it's worth just pausing to think about what we're really chasing. Is productivity the ultimate measure of your worth? Or what if success is also about rest and joy and just being present in the life you already have? Definitely something to think about.